What's going on, Fiend? What's going on, Mike? You guys, you guys want to do a podcast? You guys want to talk about this?
Not really.
Do you guys want to do this? I mean,
You don't want
Aztecs lost. They lost by 1.
You don't want
They're
to
not in the
think?
top 25 anymore. Like, our pets' heads are falling off, right? That's kind of how it goes.
We're never going to win another basketball game ever at San Diego State University. All the season.
So you want to start a podcast, do you? You want to talk Aztec sports, huh? All right, guys, let's do this.
His last 24 from just barely blocked. They weren't just breaking that to break it. They were breaking it to score. Bird hunts the 3 from the corner. And a very fascination in that regard. McKinney for 3. San Diego State is overloading that zone. They're trying to find. You can count it. He puts it in. I think it's the right call. Miles Bird kind of shuts on those speed. The crowd doesn't like it. I think he's still
getting us to the dream. Dreams become reality. Reality and ring. We game time ready. Welcome to my
Welcome everybody back to another Sons of Montezuma podcast. What a painful introduction that was. Went through the fire, as you guys could see, just to get that out. I didn't have a lot of fun making that. The Aztecs drop a shocking home game to Utah State, the beloved Utah State, as Fiend, I think, quoted them in his recent article, 67-61. A 1-point shocker, of course. I want to thank you guys for joining us first and foremost. It's not a Victory Monday, so no fight song, but make sure you hit that like and subscribe button either way. We appreciate all the support from our loyal community. Regardless of what happened,
Aztec warrior.
I am an Aztec warrior, and I'm sitting here between these two pillars of truth, Aztec truth. You cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him. He is known for rolling deep in the show, but he had a bird's eye view this past Saturday. What's going on?
I think I need to go back to the show. I think it's time for me to make an appearance. I should have been down there for that game. Yeah, it was very upsetting, this game. I was very, very pissed off after it happened. You know how much I hate Utah State. Like, I despise them. Let's just call them great value BYU. That's what they are. You know what? I mean, kudos to them, though. They came into our place and they still won, and they played great. We didn't.
Yeah, that's a general way of just simply wrapping the game up. Okay, recording's over, guys. Thank you for joining us. Mike, what's going on, man? It's good to see you with the I don't know what kind of hat is that? The dub. You didn't get the dub, but I like the hat, dude. That looks very special.
Do you want the histrionics of it?
I do. It's sweet.
So when the Padres whenever they were going to move back to Washington. And that was the W. That was the logo they were going to use for the Padres before they moved to Washington. And then they didn't. So they stayed in San Diego. Hey, you know what, dude? We couldn't have played any fucking worse in that second half. And we still almost won that game. So I don't care what anybody says. We just had a bad second half. We still were in the game. The guy hit 4 threes when he had only hit 4 in the last 23. It is what it is, man. That was the first time they've won in San Diego since they've joined the conference. And the first time they've won in San Diego since 1998. So they are a very good team. They played well, and they beat us on our home floor, or maybe we beat ourselves, but that's going to be the Mountain West this year, man. They're a very good team. By the way, dude, they've won, I think they've had 11-1 starts in the last 3 years, 3 different coaches. So they have something up there that's pretty special. So we can't put any negativity on that. I mean, they're a good basketball team and program. So they just got the best of us last night.
Well, we gotta eat our crow, right? We gotta eat some crow today because we put out this really awesome article that Fiend had, 2-part article ranking all the Mountain West teams that I guess you could say we love to hate in a way, right? I don't necessarily, like I said today in the recap, hate is such a strong word. It's a little too close to envy for me. I don't hate any of these guys in the Mountain West, right? They don't have anything that I want. Utah State, okay, the occasional win that they have, and they're a respectable program, but I mean, come on, it's so disappointing to lose to these guys that it gets overblown a lot of times. Mike, you put it in a good perspective, right? It's the first time they even beaten us at home since they joined the conference. But they are a quality program. You can't take that away from them. Fiend, Mike hit it, right? 3 coaches in 3 years, and they have not missed a beat. Their players came to play. And even though we built that 18-point lead in that first half, watching the game, you could tell that Utah State team they weren't letting up. We were just balling. We were just hitting shots. Guys were just hitting shots at the end of the day. I think Dutcher kind of summed that up in the post game presser when he was asked what changed from first half to second half. I mean, is it as simple as that, Fiend, that sometimes you just miss shots, sometimes you just make shots?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a story of 2 halves. We went 0 for 11 in the second half. Didn't hit 1 3-pointer, and it just really looked disjointed. I mean, our offense did not look as good and flowing as it did in the first half. I don't know what happened there. Why we were not moving the ball, we were not cutting, we were not just, it was all just individual and trying to dribble into a matchup zone, and that's really kind of what just I was really disappointed in, is that we just did not execute well against their zone. Yeah, we had some lapses on defense, but I thought defensively, I mean that team averages like 80 points a game. So to hold them to 67 was a pretty good defensive effort overall. But offensively, it's just, and I think for me, what really stings is the fact that we already played a team in UCSD that's almost identical defensively to Utah State, and we didn't learn from it. And so it's just it kind of reminds me of the loss to New Mexico a couple of years ago. In 2023, when House came into Viejas and they won, and we stole that one at their place. That's what we need to do when we go on the road to, in whenever February, I think, when we're playing them again. But it really kind of reminded me, it hurt. It hurt. You don't want to lose your first home game in conference, but we lost to a very good team, and they could very well be the champions of the Mountain West regular season at the end of the season.
A little hard to take, right? Because you think of that third coach in 3 years with the transfer portal the way it is, but Dutcher really, leading up to this game and in the post game presser, I love to listen to these. I know I was giving Mike a hard time about it, but I love to listen to a coach because he puts it out there very simply. This isn't a Utah State team that was, the cupboard wasn't bare. There were players, starters from last year's Mountain West outright champion. It's hard to believe that sometimes, but no, they were the outright champion last year in the regular season. So they do have quality guys coming back, stat fillers, that guys that know how to win on that roster. It's not like this was a brand new team. So you can't just say, oh, well, they were completely overmatched. No, not at all. If anything, we have the youth, we have the inexperience on our roster. I think we've overachieved up to this point and really shown some really good areas of growth. But this is one of those games, man, you just hate to lose, and it really kind of exposed that youth. If you listen to Bird, he really, he took the game in stride, man. I think he took the game as well as you would want one of your leaders to take it, even though the foul trouble. Oh, we'll get into that. Mike, anything you want to add into anything we've been saying? Because that 5th foul on Bird that was a tough one.
I mean, I thought it was a charge, but they called it a block, so it is what it is. But we're 9-3. Yeah, I mean, Utah State's good. But if I would have told you, hey, we're 9-3 after going 8-2 in conference, I mean, like, it's the old cliche. I'm sure everybody would have taken that, right? or 7-2 in or non-conference. But
Non-conference.
it is what it is, man. We're a young team. We're still learning. Like I said, we would look like we could beat the world the first half, and we looked discombobulated the second half. Like I said, they just couldn't figure it out for whatever reason. They just looked terrible, but they were still in the game. And so that's all you want. So that's going to be a good teaching tool. And Falslev is a really, really good player. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of the guys, but he might be my conference potential player of the year. I mean, he's legit, man. I don't know how those steals, and it's when he made that layup to end the first half, that's when they went on that run. That was a difference maker. I mean, that changed the whole momentum. And then they came out, and the scary thing is they didn't have even their point guard.
Right.
So we'll see what happens as the games go on. You know what I do like? I like the fact that we had Cal, we had a week, and then we have another week until Boise. So, that's a good teaching tool for these coaches to have, to be able to teach what went wrong and what went right, and have a couple weeks, and then you just go through the gauntlet of the Mountain West starting on January 4th.
Is that mean this was a good loss because there's good teaching tools? Oh.
No, there's no. I mean,
No.
It's
just a loss. I don't think
Yeah.
it's a bad loss. It's not a good loss. So it's just a loss
Yeah.
in my book.
The judo chop. I saw a judo chop somewhere there at Mike. No, man. Well, that game, I got to tell you, I from my vantage point, obviously I thought it was a charge, but this game was officiated a little funny in a sense. I think the foul calls ended up being pretty even at the end of the day. So I don't think you could necessarily blame officiating for this loss, right? I mean, the comeback 18 points, that's not one or two plays. That's a string of plays. That's an avalanche of momentum that Utah State just brought with them. Really liked their head coach, his demeanor on the sideline. Really engaged, really just, I don't want to say he was tearing into his guys, but he had their attention. They were focused even without their main point guard, Mike, like we said. And for the majority of the game, Aztecs were without Bird. I mean, he was in foul trouble throughout the whole second half, throughout the whole first half, pretty much 23 minutes. He only notched. But you could tell, obviously, Coach Dutch and crew, they wanted to go with a primarily 4-guard lineup towards the end. Them without their point guard and us still not being able to really pass the ball around. I think that's the part that really frustrates people the most, is the ball got stuck too often. There was no sharing of the ball, really. Everybody was kind of just playing hero ball, and it just didn't really seem like that was going to be the case. I wish I could have saw maybe a bigger lineup in there, but I mean, guys were, like you said, there were guys getting stripped from the ball once they would get it in the paint, missing a couple bunnies right off the bat, coming out of the half. So I don't know. I mean, it's a teaching moment. I don't know how Coach Dutch and them are going to attack this, though, because like Fiend said, this was a defensive zone, that matchup zone. It gave us fits, but it's not something we hadn't seen before. I said in our private chat, like, it's a little different when you study up on game film, but you haven't been through it. Like, until you go through it yourself on the court, coach can tell you and show you examples of other teams, but then now they got game film, they can see themselves and kind of make it more personal. But I don't know. It seemed like such a anomaly of a game for that whole second half. And I don't think we've seen a loss like that in quite some time. Quite some time, man.
I mean, to me, we just got out hustled to the loose balls by Falslev. The amount of loose balls he got to and steals he got were the difference maker in the game. I mean, our free throws kept us in the game, but his hustle was unmatched. I don't believe. I mean, that's what changed the game, is his hustle. His
IQ.
So, yeah, I mean, whatever you want to call it. He was always around the ball when he needed to be around the ball, and he got the ball pretty much every single time that he needed to. And then, like, we were talking about the inbounds from under the backboard, and how many did he have? 3 or 4 of those where it was just easy buckets?
He's so good at cutting to the basket.
So, like, he's a problem, dude. He's a problem. So, again, you're not going to win every game, But you got a week to prepare for Boise. That's a road game. We don't do well against them. Like I said, I think that we've won 6 of the last 8 against Utah State. They hadn't won since 1998 in San Diego. So, but Boise, we have a problem in Boise. So we don't win very often there. So this is going to be a good testament to see what this team's fortitude and stick-to-itiveness is when the new year rolls around.
Yeah, back to Falslev. I mean, I agree with you. I think he could be he's probably the front runner right now for the Mountain West Player of the Year. I think he's won the award, Mountain West Player of the Week, 4 times now.
Yeah, something crazy.
So just his IQ is just off the charts. I mean, that play where I think it was Bird got his 3rd foul, and Bird's much taller than him, but just the IQ to stop and lay it up, but stop so that Bird's momentum carried it into him and caused that foul. He was looking to draw a foul on Miles Bird, and it was such a smart play. He didn't get the bucket, but Miles had to go to the bench. And it just seems like on this team, as Miles goes, like, so does the hopes on our team. He's that important to what we do on both ends of the floor. And so if you can get him into foul trouble, that's why I get a little nervous when he gets like really aggressive, with some of the steals and all of that. It's like, dude, we need you on the floor, And so you start picking up these fouls and then that takes you off the floor. And that's exactly what happened. And they seem to play, I think, a lot better when he was not on the floor.
There's definitely a lot of that gamesmanship, like you said, drawing those fouls. I know Bird had one of those as well, where he drew a foul in that second half, got really excited about it, took the charge. He tried another one, got called for the block. And then that last one, which was completely obvious to everybody in the arena. I mean, what's his face? Martinez just barrels down over him, and that was the last foul that Bird had to give. I just think it was the refs at that point just saying, no, don't play like that anymore within 2 minutes. We're not going to call that. Like, play the game. You guys have been kind of jockeying for these charges and blocks all game long. We're drawing the line in the sand at this point within 2 minutes. Like, we're not going to call that play on.
It was kind of.
I wish it would have been a non-call. Yeah, I mean, a makeup call. You don't do makeup calls within 2 minutes. If you're going to let them play, just let them play, be physical, and knock each other over. And just.
But it seemed like that was a makeup call from Wayne McKinney's charge. The Wayne McKinney's charge, the one that he took, was more like a block than it was a charge. And so I think in some respects that call on Bird was a makeup call for the one that they called against Utah State, because Utah State really protested, and it looked like Wayne was still moving when the guy planted and went up left his feet. So and it very well may have been a makeup call from that, but it clearly was a charge.
Yeah, you hate to spend so much time on this call. I mean, it wasn't the reason why the Aztecs lost the game. It hurt. It definitely hurt. But boy, Utah State, how many big threes towards at the end to get them back in. Of course, that and one that Martinez got from that foul call.
Yeah, we were up
Aztecs
7
last
to
of scoring.
up 4.
Yeah,
up 7 to up 4, and then Bird is out. So that was the momentum swing that they needed.
Mike, what do you think? I'm going to put yourself in Coach Dutch's and the staff's shoes, right? Because, yeah, they've got to look at things and figure it out. But just based off of what we saw in this game, what do you think the staff, or what did you learn about this team, rather, from this game? Because when I look at, right, not calling a timeout after Anderson hit the fourth of his three-pointers that, good Lord, nobody saw that coming. I mean, they said they knew he was a shooter, but we could talk about the defense played on that. But I mean, what do you learn? Because you didn't call a timeout. You didn't have Coach Dutch says he couldn't get the officials. He tried to call timeout. They didn't hear him. Either they didn't hear him or they ignored him. One of the two. I think they didn't hear him. When it works, you're a hero, right? Lamont Butler hits the game winner in the Final Four. Game winner against New Mexico. You don't call a timeout. You just take the ball down the court. You hit it. Everybody's happy. When you don't take the timeout and you miss, everybody's going to question it, right?
I mean, it's basketball. You know what I mean? So, it just wasn't our night, man. And it was theirs. The guy hit the three to win it, basically. And we went down, and I think we probably took a shot that we shouldn't have taken, but we took it, and it just didn't go in, So I don't think you can blame the game for the totality of it just on the last play. There were so many other things involved during that second half to you where it was just like, it just didn't go our way for the second half, and everything went their way. So I think you just see how this team reacts to that loss. That's I don't know if you kind of know what the guys are like on the court. They just had a bad game. They all kind of just were frazzled, and just one thing led to another. It snowballed. But you're going to learn more about this team on Saturday and see how they react to that loss and see how they come back with a road conference game. That's what I'm looking forward to see the responsiveness of the team after that loss at Boise.
As we saw, there's a small margin for error between wins and losses. And my message from Dutch would be Nick Boyd should absolutely not be inbounding the ball with 4 seconds to go. He should be the one getting the ball. The ball should be in his hands, and he should be taking the last shot. I don't know why he went under the basket and passed it to McKinney. I love McKinney, but in that situation, I want the ball in Nick Boyd's hands. Or if Bird was in the game, I'd want it in his hands too. One of those two guys, the ball that last shot needs to come from one of them. And since Bird was on the bench, it needed to come from Boyd, and it didn't.
I think that's kind of along the lines of what I'm kind of questioning is, okay, well, what do you learn about this team in those crunch time minutes, right? You learn a lot about your players in those crunch time minutes, in those who's going to take the last shot minute, right? And I hear what you're saying, Phoenix. In that moment, who's going to be frazzled, who's not going to be frazzled, who's going to have their wits about them, and that's real action that you got to see, and you get to dissect and maybe look into it a little too much like we do, but that's the job. That's what comes with it, right? So it'd be interesting to see when faced with that situation again. And I agree with you, Mike. It's not all one play, but boy, the shot selection in those last 2 to 3 possessions was really, really bad. And you just can't have that. You can't have that. No Bird on the court or not. As a team, you got to know when you need a bucket, this is how it's going to go. Whether you make the bucket or not, you leave that up to the basketball gods, right? So yeah, I'm curious to see how moving forward, what did they learn from this, if there was anything,
I mean, one of the things too is, we obviously hindsight's 2020, but there was Miles took a shot from pretty far out behind the 3-point line, with not too much time left before I think maybe a few, I don't know. I can't remember how close to when he got fouled out. When he took that shot, we were up by, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. If he would have hit that, different game. But that was a shot that he was out there. You know what I mean? So I trust him to take those shots, but that just didn't go in. So there's a lot of things that led up to that last thing. And so, whatever, man, 9-3, going into the new year, 2025, and we got a lot of basketball left, and we're going to see what happens, man.
I love how Mike just punctuates every take with, hey, all right, time to move forward.
You can't worry about the past.
No, but we're here to talk about it. We're here to talk about it, Mike.
Hey, man, as a wise man once said, yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, right? So,
oh boy.
This, to me, at this point in the season, yes, you learn about guys in the crunch time. But the bigger thing to me at this point is, how do your guys react to that? How do they recover, whatever, the next game and come back and get after it? So we don't lose 2 games in a row very often, very rarely. So this is a big game Saturday, 1:00. I can't remember if it's on CBS or Fox, but CBS.
Yeah. National TV, all the bright lights in Boise, and this week all the national attention is on Boise for their big football game tomorrow night. So, their crowd is going to be on fire, and we'll see depending on how that football game goes tomorrow night. They may be looking for blood, because I think Penn State's going to run over them. That's just my gut. I kind of hope they pull off an upset, but I don't really care. But yeah, big CBS, man. And you're right, we don't play well over there. I think all-time series is 16-18. We have the advantage overall, but they're 10-4 at home against us, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good for Boise. So it is going to be a challenge. But I agree. I want to see how this team comes out. I want to see how they respond.
Yeah, I mean, shot 90% from the free throw line and 38% from the field, and we still almost won. I mean,
And we were 54%, I think, in the first half.
yeah, I mean, we were.
That's really impressive.
So if we were 54% in the second half, does that mean we were like 17% in the second half? If we we're at 38.5?
Probably, yeah, something
like
like that. It was not good. It was one of our worst halves of the season. But
23 points, the lowest half we've had all year so far.
T-Mac in the chat, he says, look, we started the season with 4 losses early when we went to the Final Four, and we look back at some of the mistakes we made. Lamont Butler against Arkansas really had that mental gaffe, right? And then we were able to recover from that, right? Didn't stop us from going to the Final Four. Same thing with that loss that we took to St. Mary's in Phoenix that we were all pissed about. So that, yeah, there's a lot of basketball to be played. This one hurts. They need to take it personally and be ready to serve some revenge in Logan when they go back there, and send all those fans to the Dairy Queen in tears.
I just hope we see some more activity from our bigs and the alertness. And they're young, so they're going to have to work on that. But, I loved what I saw from Farrell Compton in the first half. Magoon, I think he'd be the first one to admit he didn't have his best game. I bank on them having a fire in their belly and coming out on Saturday and wanting to prove something. So, absolutely. Guys, can we talk a little bit about what the repercussions meant a little bit, though? Because, this is a quad 1 loss. I know I bugged you about that, Fiend, earlier today. Utah State is a quality team. They've lost 1 game. We lose 1 game, and we get, essentially knocked out of top 25, which you knew was going to happen. But 35, number 35 in the nation, 10 spots. You get knocked down over 10 spots in the AP poll. And, that's a big one. When I believe Ziegler didn't give us or Utah State any top 25 votes, I believe. Which, hey, that's your vote. You're entitled to it. He got to see it up close and personal. So, will we ever get to the point where that respect is, there?
I think that the AP voters were just looking for a reason to knock us out and knock us down bad. I think they kind of propped us up after that Houston win because they really like Houston and they were probably shocked that we beat Houston. And so they felt like they had to rank us. And then, once you get ranked and you keep winning, then you kind of move up and up. But this one, yeah, that was like their opportunity, and it was on national television. They saw the collapse in the second half, and they probably walked away thinking, "Wow, this Aztec team really stinks." That's just
ridiculous.
The AP vote. I know, but that's just
That's
the way
ridiculous. A 1 point loss. Literally a 1
that's
point
the way
loss.
the AP voters they don't respect the Mountain West Conference as a whole.
Including Ziegler? Including Ziegler?
I don't know what Ziegler voted, but I mean, I think as a whole, they're, a lot of these sports writers are from big, Power 4 markets, and so they have a biasness towards teams in those conferences, and so it just seems like when we take a loss, we fall a lot farther than some of the Power 4 teams that take a similar loss.
Ohio State's in there at 9-4. Interesting. Well, I know Mike doesn't have any time to worry about polls. He doesn't have any time to worry about the net or any of these rankings. They're all inconsequential to the end result. But we'll have to wait till March and April till we get there, guys. So,
yeah, I mean, whatever, dude. Hey, the women won again, 12-2. I mean, they look good, man.
Hey, there we go.
Solid.
Let's talk about the winners, right?
They got Colorado State on New Year's Day in Fort Collins, Colorado. Are we going there? Is that where we're going?
Not for New Year's.
Not for that game.
No. For the game, for the basketball, the men's game, right?
Yeah, in February.
Correct. Okay. Hey, they look good. You know what I mean? So they just keep winning, man. So congrats to them, and I'm really interested to see what their year is going to be like. So. Did I just throw us completely off for that? Did I just throw everybody off?
No, I love the women's team. I love the women's team. They beat the brakes off of Boise.
Yeah.
And they did last year at home. So that was awesome. That was really awesome to see. Quezada, she was balling. She got Mountain West player of the week. So, yeah. They're going to give UNLV a run for their money. That's for sure. UNLV is always going to be the top.
They're the favorites this year because they've been the favorites last couple of years.
Always. They're ballers. So we got our work cut out for us. But Boise's good too. So that was good to see them handle them like they actually handled them.
We got Saturday against Boise, and come what may, man. New year, 9-2, 9-3, whatever we're at, and young team. They're gonna have games like that. They're just gonna have games like that once in a while. So when Miles fouls out, you can see obviously the strain that it puts on the other players at this point in the season. So with him in there, different team. Boyd is great. JCJ, I heard a stat on the thing. JCJ is only like 45% with layups, which is a little concerning, but I think he'll pick that up a little bit as he gets a little more comfortable. But we're still a program. Hey, check out this stat, by the way. I like watching the games on TV. I'd rather be there, like I've always said. But San Diego State in the Brian Dutcher era, NCAA ranks opponents points per game 8th, 755 win percentage, which is 6th. Opponents field goal percentage 5th. Opponents 3-point field goal percentage 2nd. So that's in, I believe, 9 years. And by the way,
in the entire country.
Yes. And by the way,
wow.
I believe Brian Dutcher's like 102-13 or something like that as a head coach at home. So 13 losses in 8 years is pretty good. That's about less than 1.5 a season. So I don't want to hear anybody fucking bitching about him and losing at home. It happens.
Nah, I don't think anybody's thrown
100%. Everybody's going to complain. Somebody's going to complain about, you should have done this, should have done that. You know what I mean? But until you get your ass in the game and you figure out what's going on there, you don't know, man. But 101.
What are you talking about?
What
are you talking about?
I peruse the internet, bro. You know.
Okay. So
stop. Like you listen, don't see it. Like,
listen.
Come on.
If you lose a game, you're not above criticism. Every game is there's something to talk about in the game. The guys didn't perform. Plain and simple. If you're gonna give them a free pass for blowing an 18-point lead and just say, "Oh, Dutch is the greatest. He wins every game."
I'm just saying it happens.
Give me a break,
bro.
He's a great coach.
You're missing my point. It's going to happen once in a while. You're missing my point. It's going to happen.
No, I got your point.
He did get out coached in this game.
Whatever.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Now, does that mean he's not going to win again? Absolutely not.
I don't.
It's a great program.
I don't know about out coaching. I think they got outplayed.
That's part of
When your guy,
getting
well, yeah,
outplayed
but
is
he's not
getting
on the court, man.
outcoached.
He's not on the court. So it's like us talking about, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. Yeah, it's great. It's easy to talk about when you're not there, right? And of course, it's his guys, but sometimes those guys have games like that, man. You can coach them up, and sometimes they
Absolutely.
have a great game, and sometimes they don't. So, as a young team and young people, like they're gonna have games that it just doesn't work out. Nothing
I
works
would
out.
agree with you if the execution was good and the finish was bad, where they just couldn't put the ball in the hoop. I would totally agree with you. But the execution and the game plan to attack that matchup zone was not good, especially in the second
So
half.
let me ask you a question.
And
They
that
weren't
happens.
really-
And that happens.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have strategy. You have strategies. You have an A or a B. You pick either A or B. They picked A and they got burned. They got out coached. They got out coached.
So
It's plain and simple. You lose
I
an
mean, they
18-point lead.
they weren't sharing the ball. I mean, they weren't. You know,
Of course.
it was kind of like 2 years ago when they was just ISO and they weren't really sharing the ball, right? So, like, what do you say to those guys at that point? You're like, dude, let's go, and they just don't do it. Like, it wasn't just one possession or two; it was multiple possessions where they just weren't doing it. So, at some point, if you tell them, I'm sure the conversation was like, hey, and they just don't do it for whatever reason, right? Then it's like, okay, well, hold on, guys, it'll be interesting to see how they rectify that in the next game, because when they're moving the ball in the first half and hitting threes, world beaters. But then you fall in love with that three, and it doesn't go. It doesn't go once. It doesn't go twice. It doesn't go three times. And all of a sudden they start putting up points. Then you pucker up real quick. You know what I mean? And then things change.
I don't think Dutcher has ever been really good at playing zone teams. I mean, look at 2021
I agree
when
with
we
that.
played Syracuse in that zone in the tournament. I mean, we looked terrible. Same thing. We just played UCSD. Like, how could you not learn how to attack a matchup zone when you just played a team a month ago that runs the same defense? It's not like we saw this defense for the first time this year.
What do you think that is?
I don't have an answer. I'm not there on the floor. I'm not in the huddle. I'm not at the practices. I don't know the reason for it. But the way that I would say the way that they were attacking it with trying to run their pick and rolls that they would do against man to man, it just that's not a good strategy to beat a matchup zone. You have to swing the ball. You have to reverse the ball. You have to cut to the basket. Now, I will give Dutch this. I will give him credit for this. Against UCSD, in the post-game press conference, he said, these kids haven't seen this matchup zone. And I had to tell BJ, who was close enough to the bench, hey, cut to the basket. And that he cut to the basket and he got a layup, right? So why are they not reinforcing that in practice, in preparation for this game, and then making adjustments in the game? There was one time where JCJ cut to the basket and got an easy layup, but I didn't see that a lot. I saw a lot of guys hanging out at the 3-point line instead of cutting when their defender dropped onto someone else. We were trying to drive into double teams. And so I'm sorry, I can't buy this whole argument that like, oh, Dutch is absolved from any, responsibility for this. No, it absolutely falls on him and the other coaches.
And to Mike's credit, I think he is saying that, right? What do you do if maybe they did reinforce that in practice? They reinforce that in practice. You know that they reinforce that in practice. So what happens when they don't do it in the game? I think Bird not being in there had a great deal to do with that. Of course, when he was in there, that we still were sliding and not getting good looks. But that's the challenge. That's the challenge for a coach, right? It's not just the X's and O's, but it's how do you teach? How do you inspire them to get it, to grasp it, and then execute it? So they got their hands full. They definitely do. I've never really
we don't
heard
have to see that zone very much.
Well, to coach's credit, and I'll let you go, Mike. To coach's credit, he handled himself as a professional that he is in that post-game presser. You could obviously hear the frustration. It was thick, but he's a professional. He explained himself perfectly, and it was actually really good to hear. But it still doesn't take away the frustration, because I think they knew they got one over on them. in Viejas. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry about that.
So, you know what interesting I was thinking about? They shot lights out 3-point wise against Cal in the second half. They shot lights out against Utah State in the first half. And then it evaporated. And they kind of didn't know how to recover. Now, I mean, this fact that we're still in the game is amazing. This just shows you what kind of team this is. You know what I mean? But you have two halves back to back where you're shooting lights out in 3 and then 3, and then all of a sudden it goes away. And it's just that's interesting to see that kind of how it affected them in the second half. Again, they only lost by 1 because the guy hit a great 3. I mean, the guy hit a great 3. What are you gonna do? So let's see what happens in Boise and how they do that, because it's fluid through the year, man. You know what I mean? These teams are going to change, and these guys are going to mature and get used to playing with each other and trust each other more. And so this is not to be unexpected that we're going to lose a game. We don't really typically lose a game this early in the conference at home, but we'll see how they react. It's a good wake-up call.
I like that. Always keeping us grounded, Mr. Mike Tortolat. Always keeping us grounded. Love it. All right, let's change the energy up just for a quick moment. We'll be right back. Sometimes you just got to visualize and hear the sound of the ball going through the net. Just close your eyes, everybody. 3! Oh, yes. Gotta love it. Guys, did you guys see this on the internet the other day? Man, I can't believe. Did you guys see
Never forget when Diddy tiptoed to get a better whiff of Chase Buttinger's nuggets.
Dude, Diddy actually leaned on his tippy toes so he can get a better whiff of his nuggets, bro. Look, he's on his tippy toes. Who does on the internet? I just like Diddy there. Yeah, man, what a weird footage. Who finds that footage that he gets on his tippy toes so he can, like if somebody's jumping over you to dunk the ball, like I'm sorry, I'm making myself as short as possible because I do not want anybody crashing into my head. Diddy did the opposite. He on his tippy toes, like maybe the top of my head could just graze them. Ah, so weird. So freaking weird, dude.
Well, I mean, I think we know why now, right? So can't stop.
I love it.
Can't stop.
No,
Won't
Diddy.
stop. So what are you guys planning for New Year's? What are you guys doing? Sizzler?
Yeah, cheesy toast, dude. Oh my god. Oh, that's one of my vices. Cheesy toast.
Cheesy toast at Sizzler.
Cheesy toast for 2, please.
Do they still have that shrimp? Do they have like the shrimp all you can eat? Do they still have that?
They still have it.
Do they
They
really?
still have it. Yeah. I'm
That's
a big
awesome.
fan. Big fan. I might be on a boat. I'm not sure. I'll probably be freezing my nuggets, but
Like
I'm
kayak?
on a boat. Yeah, yeah. Paddle board.
What are you gonna do, Fiend? Just hang out at home?
Probably just hang out at home. I mean, I'll definitely be watching that game.
Oh yeah.
Again, the Boise State game. I think it's on pretty early though, like 4:30.
4:30. Yeah.
Yeah. So, are there any other games on besides that? Is that the only one?
I think there's one in the morning. There's not too many.
So I'll be watching that, and then just probably watch the ball drop, and I don't know. I don't like to really go out and get crazy on New Year's, so just hang out around the house.
Well, how about you, Mike? Every time I plan New Year's Eve, it goes terribly wrong, to be honest with you. So what are you doing?
Oh no, I don't leave. I'm 45. I'm not leaving, dude. So we have the neighbors
man.
are gonna come over and hang out. We're gonna watch. Just the kids are gonna play and just hang out and do the 9:00 East Coast ball drop. And I saw a thing on Instagram where you put cotton candy and Sprite in like a champagne flute, so that'll be the kids' kind of toast to the new year. You know what I mean? Even though she's
Nice.
accosting me with her. Who is this again? Is this what's the thing from
Frozen?
Frosty?
No,
Frozen, yeah, Frozen.
whatever.
I've
She
never
threw
seen it. I don't know.
it at me. She threw it at me. So, but yeah, it's been a great year. It's been a fun year. Everybody's got some ups and downs and stuff like that, but the totality of the year has been great. So we're pretty thankful for everybody, and obviously doing this with you guys and the fans and the support and stuff we get. Obviously, you guys get to see it more than I do, and I don't know if I'll be down for a game this year, to be perfectly honest with you, but it's been a good year, man. It's enjoy tomorrow and then start 2025 off, and I just say that you never know what's going to happen, and just look forward to the best and see what happens.
Never know with all these drones flying around. You never know what's going on. Team Mac, we want to thank Team Mac for his final super chat of the year. Man, we appreciate your support and all your guys' support. But Team Mac, appreciate you. Happy New Year's to you. Wherever you're gonna be at, man. Wherever you're gonna be at. Oh boy, yeah. I hear what you're saying, Mike. At the game, I know Fiend had his experience out there in San Jose with different people coming up saying they appreciate what we do. I know I ran into a couple people down here recently, one in Chula Vista, and then one at the game. And it's always encouraging to get that shot in the arm. Just, hey, keep up what you guys are doing. Appreciate what you guys are doing for Aztec Nation. And it's games like this that make it a little tougher. But, man, appreciate everybody and really hope everybody has a great and safe, healthy New Year. That's really all it comes down to. That's really all it comes down to.
Yeah,
and
it's fun. I mean, we try to keep it real. We don't have our noses kind of extend when we're lying about stuff. You know what I mean? So,
oh boy,
yeah, we try not to be, a wooden little boy that tries to be real. You know what I mean? So, it's fun. So we enjoy it, and we thank you guys, and it's fun, man. This is great. Win or lose, we still lose, right? So.
So Boise State on the 4th. Boise State on the 4th in Boise this Saturday. I think it's a 1:00 game. It's a little early for our body clock. The games after Christmas break we struggle with. That's on record. That our stats are not good. So hopefully they can take the next 7 days, kind of get reacclimated. But I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. 7 days off, going on the road,
dude. And I don't believe unless I'm missing something. I don't know if we have a bye after this, whatever this is. So from now on, from 1/4 to the end of the year, we play every weekend and weekday. We don't have an off day unless I'm missing something. So that's a good, hey, that's good. You have game, a week off, get your stuff together, get situated, and then let's go. It's gonna be hot and heavy here for the next 2 months.
Yeah, we're gonna play in almost 70 days. I think 19 games.
Mm-hmm.
So the non-conference, you get a lot more time off. Obviously, you have the holidays and finals and whatnot. But you're playing about one. You have one less day in between games during the conference season, and you're doing more traveling because a lot of those non-conference games, you're either at a tournament or you are, playing at home. You get a lot of bye games, so that is going to be a really, really tough stretch here for 2+ months. By 18, 19 games, one game every 3.6 days.
Oof.
So imagine the travel and the prep and everything, and then school. That is a lot. That's why the Mountain West is a total grind when it comes to, playing in this league, especially with the elevation factor. And then some of these places like Wyoming are really tough to get to. So it'll be interesting, especially for a young team. We'll see, how they hold up over the next couple of months with this schedule.
Well, it's not going to be all unicorns and rainbows, that's for sure. It's going to be a tough grind. I think the team is ready for it. A lot of them haven't experienced it, but I think they will be ready Just got to stay healthy, stay out of foul trouble. Not sure what it's looking like for Reese Waters. I know this was a game I mentioned a few, man. This was a game we could have really used Reese's, experience and skill to step in there, but it is what it is. Keep moving, keep playing to the best of their abilities and learning. And we will see this Saturday what happens at the Taco Bell Arena, or is that Liv Moss?
Is it still that? I think it's extra value.
Extra
mile.
Is
it extra
Extra
mile.
mile.
Extra mile. I believe it's a gas station.
Utah State's that it should absolutely be Great Value Arena.
Extra mile arena. Shouldn't it be Dairy Queen Arena?
Oh,
Yeah.
better fitting. Yes. Super Soaker Arena. Yeah.
What do you?
The water guns, guys. The water guns.
Of course. Yeah. We all got that reference.
That's it. We're all getting on a plane. We're going to Colombia. We're going to meet up with Team Mac and dance to some salsa all the rest of the days of. Wow, dang it! New Year's Eve tomorrow. Oh boy! All right, guys. What else we need to cover for this end of the year final podcast, final episode before we get to 2025? I don't know about you, but I'm ready for 2025 to get here. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Hey. That's it.
All right, T-Mac, we're taking you up on the offer. Let's go. Anyways.
All right, we're done. Let's go.
We've exhausted our recap of this game. Happy New Year, Angelica. Happy New Year, Team Mac. Everybody, all you watchers, all you listeners out there, we thank you guys for the support. We're going to be here to document more games and hopefully more wins.
Real quick, 2025, do you think we'll get more wins or more smiles from Fiend on the podcast? I think we're going to get more wins.
Ooh.
I think it's probably, there's one. So that's 2022, 2024, so it doesn't count yet. So,
yeah.
I hope we get more wins and smiles.
I won't see you guys till next year. You know what I mean?
I don't think anybody's going to see us till next year. So,
Do. All right, well, enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. Hey, on to Boise. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Have fun. No soup for you.
Guys, thank you. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, sonsofmontezuma.com. Happy New Year. Go Aztecs.
Happy New Year. Go Aztecs.
Happy New Year. Go Aztecs.